to this edition of Buncombe Live. In the next few sessions, we're going to be talking about how Buncombe County can help you through these troubled times, and what better person to talk about troubled times with than our Assistant County Manager and Director of Social Services, Mandy Stone. They've just recently published their annual report, and I know it's got a lot of stuff in it about how things are going locally, and we want you to see it. You can check that out on our website, but I wanted to ask you, Mandy, we hear nationally that things are bad. We know, all of us know, times are bad, people are losing jobs, but locally, is it bad, and how are y'all seeing that over there in the department?
We've seen a tremendous increase in requests for services. We predominantly serve working individuals, people who are working in either one or two low-wage earning jobs and are struggling to make ends meet. So we've seen services grow between 23 and 45% across economic service programs. So those numbers are staggering.
In the last year?
Since July.
Since July of 2008?
Yes.
Wow.
You see that pretty much across human services, be it people who can't access health insurance, people in need of emergency assistance with heating or prescriptions, people in need of subsidized child care, food assistance, just across the board.
So these are not people who are not working. These are people many times who are working and they're just not making ends meet.
We really don't serve many people who don't work. There are many individuals who've temporarily been laid off or are underemployed. You know, people who have been laid off and are now working jobs at lower wages. That's a relatively new population for us to see. But for the most part, people continue to have some work available to them, even if that's working 2 or maybe even 3 jobs. It's just that their wages and their hours are cut back to the extent they still can't make ends meet.
So it's touching a lot of different people.
It's touching a lot of lives.
Here in this county?
Absolutely.
Okay. If people want to know about services over there in your department, you know, maybe they've never thought they could ever come for help, and now they're seeing maybe I do need help. What should they do?
Well, one, they can go to the Buncombe County web, and we've actually done, they can click on one link that gives them a brief summary of all the programs and the basic eligibility standards. They can also call 250-5500 and speak to one of our customer service representatives who will actually walk them through what services they might be eligible for.
And I know they're very good at that. They make it easy. You don't feel like you're doing something wrong.
Absolutely. You know, these are people who have paid taxes and contributed to the community. They're struggling temporarily, and it's our job to assist them, to help them through those times.
Right. And your annual report that you've just published, it's out on our website.
Yes.
And people can get a copy of that if they want it. Can download it or just look at it on the web. What did you find there? That's a report from the last year. That report talks about program growth. It also talks about how we serve people across different county human service agencies and how we've worked hard to break down those barriers or silos so it's more streamlined for citizens. It talks about how they can access services in their own community, that they don't have to come downtown to access our services or our support. Okay. For us, the annual report really is a conversation with the community, an opportunity to say, here's what we're doing. Are we doing it right? Are there things you'd like to see us improve or change? It really is for us an open dialogue. And you want people to see that?
We absolutely do.
Okay. So we started off with Mandy just to let you know that the report is out there for you to see, that there are services folks can access if they're having a really hard time. And next we're going to talk with Linda Blue about gardening. Now, it may not be the cheapest thing for you to do, but it may be something that you can do to supplement your food budget as we move into the spring and summer. So stay tuned.
Hey, Dad. I know bird flu is quite rare in humans, but could that change if the virus changes?
Need some answers? Find them at pandemicflu.gov. A message from HHS.
I'm glad you tuned back in because I'm here with Linda Blue, Agricultural Extension Agent with Cooperative Extension for Buncombe County. And we're out here at the Manna Food Bank Garden, and it is troubled times. We just heard from Mandy, and a lot of people are saying, Linda, I'm going to do a garden this year. I'm going to do a garden this year.
Oh, everybody's saying that this year.
You're hearing it too.
We certainly are.
So we wanted to just take a few minutes to tell you the cheapest way to do a garden because there are some ways that aren't cheap, and not necessarily you think that a garden is going to solve all your problems. So today we're going to show you how to do it cheaply, how to do it easily, and just answer some of the normal questions folks have about gardens.
Right.
So, Linda, we're standing here on some ground that has been turned over. It's not a raised bed garden.
Right.
And sometimes you were telling me that it's easier just to start here because of some things you don't need that could make it cheaper. Tell me about that.
The first thing you're going to need to do is to make sure you've got a place that has a lot of sun. All of your vegetables are going to need at least 6 hours of sun and preferably about 8 hours of sun. And I know we've talked about before that if you don't really have a lot of area that has that kind of sun, you can even grow a lot of vegetables in containers.
So you can still benefit your budget from containers.
You can take a 5-gallon bucket and recycle it by drilling some holes in the bottom of it and plant a tomato plant in it.
Yeah.
You know, large pots. You can just be creative with anything that you can make drainage holes and use potting soil in to grow, you know, quite a bit of vegetables, at least to supplement your diet with some good fresh vegetables.
And that would be cheap and easy and healthy. But
now, if you've got a little space, you know, and if you don't have a rototiller, don't have somebody that you can borrow one from, don't want to spend the money, I have done my share of garden plots with a shovel.
Well, right,
shovel
like this.
and a garden fork. Yep.
Right here.
Yep. I would suggest, if you're going to try to do this by hand, not to get any more ambitious than at most a 10-foot by 10-foot area. You'd be surprised how much vegetables you can actually grow.
In a 10-foot by 10-foot. That seems so small, but when it comes
until you start digging.
That's going to say, because I'm looking at this beautiful soil we're standing here, but it's all soft and rich. And
yeah, this is a spot that the Master Gardener volunteers have been growing this demonstration garden for a few years now. So this soil has been improved with its organic matter additions for several years, good compost in it. This started out as the red clay that you probably have found.
Yeah, if I go out to my yard and I take the grass off, which is going to take a while, just doing that, but then dig down, it is going to be red clay dirt.
So it's not going to be perfect your first year. So we want to make sure we don't have our expectations too high the first year before we've really gotten our soil improved and kind of gotten the hang of things.
Right, so start small, and you might want to just do a little spot. But let's say that I get out there, I get the grass off the top, I find my red clay soil. I don't know a thing about what to do. You just tell me about this. This is amazing.
First thing is to do that soil test. Extension agents preach this all the time. This is the only way you're going to know how acid your soil is or not, and any other nutrient deficiencies.
Well, now what does that mean? If my soil is acidy and I don't treat it, do my plants not grow
Your
right?
plants are not going to grow very well if they don't have the right pH of the soil. To fix that, you would add lime, but there's no way of knowing how much without doing this. Now, in North Carolina, this is still free, except for a little bit of postage to mail your box of soil down to the testing lab in Raleigh.
It's free. Where do I get this?
Come by the extension office at 94 Cox Avenue. Any weekday, we'll give you as many different boxes for different parts of your yard as you want. Once you've collected your sample and filled out your form, you'll just box this up and mail it down to Raleigh. Now, I will forewarn you that this time of year, in April, it's going to take several weeks to get results back because everybody else is doing it.
But they need to do it.
So what I would do is I would go ahead and do it if you're getting ready to garden on a spot that you are sure nobody has put any lime on for at least 5 years. Then you can go ahead and put some lime on it because you're probably going to need it.
Right.
And you can always come back later and put on more.
Yeah. But go ahead and get started. Go ahead and do that now.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, so let's say that I've started my 10 by 10 flat to the ground, not a raised bed. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Just flat to the ground.
Right.
And I've turned the soil up good, put a little lime on it.
Right.
How do I know what seeds, plants, where do I start?
Well, then that's a really important thing, again, for first-time gardeners, is planting the right things at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, we get some wonderful weather in April, and everybody wants to get out and plant tomato plants, and we get a frost comes along, and that's the end of those tomato plants. So this time of year, we're still sort of at the end of the season of planting cool season vegetables, things that can tolerate a little bit of frost. Not until May do we want to put in the plants like tomatoes and green beans and cucumbers that will not tolerate any frost.
But we're at a good spot here for planting because May is the real things like you said, the green beans and pay. So we've got time to think about this.
So right now, if you've already got a spot worked up, you can set out some cabbage plants, broccoli plants. You can plant seeds for lettuce and other leafy greens.
Yeah.
If you're just starting to work up your plot, you have time to be working towards early to the middle of May to have the spot ready to plant.
So if I really want to know, okay, I'm going to get out there and get it worked up, but what do I know when to do? There's some resources.
There are some resources. One thing is read those seed packets. The seed packet will tell you some of these things.
Read a seed packet?
Right?
Okay.
The other thing is in our office, we have resources like our Gardener's Almanac.
Yeah, that thing's great.
We sell these for $5 at our office. It has a table in it that tells you planting dates. It's also got a page for every month of the year that tells you things to be doing, not only your vegetable garden, but your lawn and other areas, you know, what you should be doing that time of year. So it's a great guide to help you know what to do when.
So when I come in to get my little box for my soil test, I can pick up one of those.
You sure can.
And I will be ahead of the game.
We'll see you tomorrow.
You know you will, because I'm so clueless. I want to talk a little bit, though, and we're going to move on down here to the raised bed garden, because that's kind of a different way to do it, and I want you to tell me about that. So we move on down here.
All right.
Okay, Linda, this is the raised bed because it's actually raised. That's why you call it that, right?
Yep. It's elevated up above the ground level.
So if somebody wanted to do this, opposite from just doing it flat in your yard, you raise it up. Now, why would you want to do it this way?
There's some advantages to doing raised bed gardens. One is that the soil actually does warm up faster in the spring because water drains through it better. Another reason is one of our goals as good gardeners is to want to improve the texture of this soil. You know, you'll see how this soil you can just sink your hand into and it's nice and soft. Part of the reason for that is each year you add some more organic material to it, and the main purpose of these raised beds is you never set a foot in it. You do not walk in it, so you don't pack that soil back down.
I kind of like that.
Yeah,
I don't
so
have to get in it.
You make it only as wide, 4 feet is the general recommendation, to where you can reach to the center of it and not have to stand in it and walk in it. So this soil stays nice and loose and fluffy. In my garden beds, I know I can put a glove on my hand and sink my hand into there pretty much any time of year.
Okay. 2 questions. What is organic matter?
Good question. Organic matter is any of the materials like well composted manure, compost, rotted leaves. We use a product that's called pine bark soil conditioner. It's kind of like finely ground pine bark mulch. It's real bulky, and it really loosens the soil really well. It's a great product for breaking up clay soil.
And that's what's good to get in that.
All of those organic amendments help to loosen that clay soil that we tend to be working with, and help to keep it so that the water will drain through it. It doesn't pack into bricks, and makes it a lot better growing environment for your plant roots, and has some nutrients in it too.
Well, now I like the cement block thing here, because you can plant stuff in the blocks.
You actually can, yeah. And this one we've got some little things like just some little ground cover kind of plants. You can put little herbs in it and stuff.
Like that. But there's different kinds. There's some railroad ties, and
we've got several things here. You can actually do a raised bed without even framing. And again, for the folks who are starting a garden for the first time, and this year if you're not wanting to put a lot of money into your first effort, there's no reason not to go ahead and start working up and building a raised bed area. But don't put a frame around it this year if you don't want to spend that money. It'll stay up in a mound in a bed without the framing. The framing long term helps to make it a lot more convenient, because it makes it all contained within almost like a big container garden. And you don't have to keep raking the edges back up, and it does make it easier in the long run. But you can certainly start raised beds without spending that money. And we have used out here, we've used untreated lumber, we've used some of the treated landscape timbers. Of course, you've seen the cinder blocks. One of my favorite products is these beds that are built with what's called the composite lumber, the plastic lumber, because it doesn't have the toxic materials in it, like the treated lumber, but it's not going to rot either. But it's going to cost you a lot more. So
so that's something you can work
build
toward.
up to it.
Okay, so if I want to do a raised bed like this, do I need, before I put the topsoil here on it, the flat ground that's under here, does that need to be tilled up?
Yes, I really prefer to work with the soil that's there.
Okay.
Work it up real good, then come in and add all of those organic amendments to really fluff it up. And you'd be surprised how much just by fluffing that existing soil, you can get it raised up 6 inches. And then next year you'll add more organic material. Now, some people like to build a frame and then come and bring topsoil in if you can afford to buy a truckload of good quality topsoil or artificial, like potting soil kind of material.
Yeah.
I would suggest even in those situations, going back to your original question, you should at least break up, turn over that soil under it so that water can drain through it, because you don't want it to be like a bathtub sitting on top of the ground.
That would make sense, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like this idea here because that over there seems more intimidating to me, the non-gardener. This one seems like I could do that.
When you have one 4x8 framed area that you know what you have to work with, and you can always add to your beds. You know, I've done that before. Started with 2 4x8 raised beds, and then a year or two decided I needed more room.
Yeah.
Especially for moving my crops around to different places each year and stuff. So I built 2 more.
Yeah.
You can just keep adding on if you've got enough sunny space to do it.
Yeah. So what people really need to do now is go out in their yard and find a sunny spot, or decide pots are for me.
Yeah.
Find that sunny spot, get that soil, get that test kit from your office, get that calendar so they know how to do it and what to do, and just start.
Just start. Get the shovel in hand and buy some seed packets, buy a few little transplants, and get yourself started. Then when you run into questions, call the Extension office.
Call the Extension office, because you're there to help.
We have Master Gardener volunteers staffing our garden hotline all summer long.
Oh, wonderful. Now, you need to share with the audience, though, because you and I filmed a year ago, and gardening was interesting then, and people were coming to your classes and stuff, but tell us what happened last fall. You were telling me about the Master Gardener classes and how they're filling up.
Well, we have done, last August, I offered just an evening lecture at the library on starting a garden, and we had more than 100 people show up. This spring, the Master Gardeners did an all-day Saturday garden school. We had to cut off at 200 people.
Wow.
Because that was all the people the room would hold.
Yeah.
We've just in the last year and a half, we have continued to have this kind of interest in.
And this is really a bright spot in the troubled times, because if it makes people go back to eating 1,000 miles fresher, I mean, it truly is better for you to eat stuff, even if you have to go to the farmer's market, the tailgate market to get the food. It's still better for you. Definitely homegrown. They'll appreciate stuff.
I think there's multiple reasons right now. You know, the maybe saving your food bill a little bit by growing some of your own is a little bit of it, but I think a much bigger part is the freshness and the quality of knowing how fresh your vegetables are, knowing how they were grown, knowing what went into them, and just the joy of, especially if you've got kids, and learning to grow their own fresh vegetables.
Yeah. You showed me a broccoli plant a few minutes ago, and I said, so that's what that looks like. So it is great for your kids. It'll be fun for you. Linda, is there anything else, any other hints that you think folks need to know to get started?
No, just get yourself started. Pick up some information at the Extension office. There's a lot of information off of our webpage and the NC State University webpage, and give our Master Gardener hotline a call when you run into questions.
Absolutely. So stay tuned. We've got one more segment about troubled times.
You may know one of the biggest drug dealers in our community.
This drug dealer is supplying prescription medicine to the kids in our local schools.
1 in 5 teens have experienced prescription drugs. These drugs are the prescription medicine that's in everyone's home.
It can be medicine for pain relief, depression, muscle relaxers, allergies, or simply cough and cold medicines. Please be responsible for your prescription medicines.
And help keep them out of our schools.
I hope you enjoyed that last segment. It was beautiful outside that day. Today we're inside here at the Cooperative Extension offices on Cox Avenue with Mary McLaughlin, who is an extension agent here in Buncombe County. And she's going to tell us about a project that they've started that I think you really will want to know about. It's a website that you guys have put together for troubled times. tell us about it. What made you do it? What made you even begin to put this together?
Well, Extension has historically dealt with responding to the needs of the community, the needs of the people in the county in which we work. And we got together as a staff to address financial distress, whether it had to do with individuals, families, farmers, agribusiness, because one of our biggest audiences is farms and agribusiness people. And so we put this website together. It's actually an integrated program that includes a website but also includes other programming, presentations that our extension agents would make, and it deals with family and individual financial issues, with stress management, with farm and agribusiness financial management, and then dealing with just very basic kinds of things like starting a garden, food preservation, and eating healthy.
So what made y'all think this? Were you getting calls of more people or were you sensing stress in the community, or what made you start thinking about it?
I think we started talking about it because in my extension career, this is the third time that I have dealt with financial distress within a staff in terms of program kinds of things. The economy goes in cycles, and in downturns we try to respond proactively to what people are needing.
And that's why we just talked to Linda Blue about farming and how you can do it simply and start slowly. But then you guys don't just talk about farms on this website. This is more about, like you said, financial. If you're having financial trouble and you just don't really know what to do, how do I get on top of these bills? What do I do? There's something there for that.
Right. We have Nancy Ostergaard is our Family and Consumer Science agent who deals with family resource management, and she can help folks do consultations with the Power Pay program, which is a national extension program that has a link on the website.
It's free.
It is free, yes. Okay. And all of this is free. There are lots of links through the e-extension program, which is a national extension program. So there are references to financial management efforts from across the country on this web page, as well as information on how to deal with stress, how to help your kids deal with stress, because when parents lose their jobs or their hours are cut back and the income is less, it affects kids too, and it's important to know how to communicate with them and how to help them understand what they can do to contribute to the family.
So all that's on this website, along with, if you do want to start a garden, some basics about that.
Right.
Is there anything on here, or will you put anything on here about canning or freezing?
Kathy Hohenstein is our other Family and Consumer Science agent, and she's working on some fact sheets that will deal with healthy eating in times of trouble. She'll also be talking about have some on food preservation, and we'll be doing some programs on food preservation as well. So it's not just the website; it's also consultations in the office and presentations and workshops out in the community.
And what y'all have done is taken a lot of information and put it in one spot.
Right.
And what are you calling the website?
We're calling it Back to Basics, helping Buncombe County residents survive and thrive through troubled times.
Yeah, and we can. You guys have been through this before, and you've used a lot of that information on here. I think it'll be great. As we end up here, is there anything else? Folks can go, and we'll put the web address on there, and we'll make it easy for them to find. But if they have any questions, they can always call.
Absolutely. We have several agents, and depending upon their specific needs, they just call 255-5522, tell the secretary what their question is, and she can direct them to the correct agent.
Okay, so it's easy. Now there's a website that's got it all together, or they can call. So is there anything else you want to leave us with about this new site or about anything else?
We hope people will really find this user-friendly, and we hope that they'll get in touch with us if they have questions, because we really know that, as I said, the economy does cycle in downturns, but folks can make it through and come out better off on the other side.
Absolutely.
And we want to help them do that.
And that ends us on a positive note. We've talked about hard times this entire show, and I hope you've enjoyed it, but we're leaving on a positive note because we will get through this, and with the help of good folks like you, they'll make it easier. So we hope you enjoyed the show, and stay tuned next month for more Buncombe Live.